So it's Thanksgiving week and I thought I'd give you a little break from turkey and apple pie and do something that has nothing to do with it. So I want to show you how to ferment some stems. Instead of tossing them away, we're going to ferment them and then turn them into a really nice chimichurri. So let's do this. Alright, so first off, let's start with a little 2-week project. So basically, instead of tossing all your stems away, we can preserve them, ferment them, and turn them into something that's edible. I'm going to show you how to do it with parsley stems, but you could do this with any stem. The really cool thing about fermenting is that not only it brings a lot of flavor, but it tenderizes it. So I can do it with dandelion, parsley, or even kale stems. So I have a little bundle of parsley stem that I've cleaned, and I can put them in my little jar. Next, we're going to create like a 3% salt brine, 1 cup of filtered water, and that's going with 1 teaspoon of sea salt. So for this here, you don't even need to like make sure it's fully dissolved. All we're going to do is close it. I'll give it like a little shake, you know, but if there's some residue of salt at the bottom, it's no big deal. And then it's good for fermenting. This is like a magic jar that's letting CO2 out, so I won't have to like do anything about it. But if you're using something like a mason jar that has a tight lid, all you're gonna have to do is release the lid every day for the first 5 days, and then we're gonna ferment this at room temperature for about 2 weeks. And then you'll be able to turn your what used to be discard and then turn them into this really exciting salsa. All right, so now let's make our chimichurri. Chimichurri is an Argentinian, commonly known in America as a condiment, but it can be used for anything during the cooking time, before the cooking time, or as a condiment afterwards. So it's a very versatile salsa. So first off, I have all these beautiful spices and herbs here. I have 1 teaspoon of chili flakes. If you don't have chili flakes, you're welcome to use cayenne, smoked paprika, and that's really gonna take it to the next level. 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, and 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. Fresh is best, right? So if you have spices that's been sitting in your cabinet for like ages, just toss them in the oven quickly for like 5 minutes and then they'll be really, really amazing and ready to use. So this is all going in my little bowl here. Next really essential step to this is we're gonna rehydrate the spices with warm water to really bloom them. So I'm just gonna start with a little bit, and then what you're looking for is to make a paste. A few drops, and there we have it. Perfect. This is time or never to do a little bit of salt, because if you were to do the salt later in the oil, it's never going to dissolve. All right, so next step, this is the really exciting step, is when we're going to get to use our fermented stems. So today, what I have in my fridge were some fermented kale stems. So I'm going to do about a 1/4 cup finely chopped kale stems, right with the spices in here. 1 tablespoon of finely chopped shallots. Awesome, and this is going in. Cool, so lastly with this, we're gonna add a little bit of fresh parsley. I have about the equivalent of 1 handful of picked parsley and thinly slice it. A little handful of parsley, it's about the equivalent of a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley, and in here it goes. All right, so everything is in my bowl together. The spices have been rehydrating for about a few minutes, and now it's time to just top it off with olive oil and give it a taste. So by rehydrating the spices, we've allowed them to really bloom one more time. And that's gonna be very easy to mix with olive oil. It won't be so much of kind of a separated salsa. It will be all together where the olive oil is gonna turn red and everything is gonna turn really nice. So we've probably did 1/2 cup of olive oil all in. And we have it, our little chimichurri with fermented kale stems. So, it's delicious. It's got a really nice kick, a really nice smokiness, and traditionally, chimichurri is finished with a little bit of red wine vinegar. But because we're using fermented stems that already have this brightness from the lactic acid, we don't need to add any vinegar. So it's a really interesting variation from the original. So this is ready to use. I'm just gonna grill up some red meat, drizzle it on there. All right, this is it. I find this to be such an exciting way to use what normally you would throw away, to use those stems of herbs, of lettuces, and to ferment them and turn them into something that you can use all year round. And also, don't get intimidated by the fermenting part. It's just so simple. It just needs a little bit of babysitting at the beginning, and then it can go on. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you give it a try and find also so many other different ways of using the stems, the fermented stems, for something else.